Senator, you have a lot of federal experiences as well as being an Oregon legislator. Today, the governor signed an executive order and reinforced the idea that to preserve the status quo as far as Oregon state government follows immigration law um, and not follow President Trump's uh, immigration executive order. Um, and I was curious about your thoughts on.
Well, Dick, I haven't read her executive order. I have skimmed through and read President Trump's executive order. President Trump's executive order, as far as I understand, what it does is it addresses a 90 to 120 hiatus in visa processing and the entry of 7 countries that, frankly, most were identified under the Obama administration as being terrorist threats. This is an issue in the Obama administration, I think, as you know, in which the National Security Director and other individuals in the intelligence community said we have a problem in vetting and bringing people in. It is interesting to me, we're just talking the present law that Trump has signed into as an executive order that seems to be inciting the news out here, and that is that you have countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and others who are large Muslim countries who say this is just a temporary pause, we'll work through this, we understand the situation because we too are fighting terrorism. Now, I do find it ironic that we're seeing individuals like the governor's reaction and even U.S. Senator Merkley's reaction, because these are actions that are not that dissimilar with President Obama, though they are very similar for what the Democrat Congress asked the President of the United States after 9/11 to do and what President Bush did. And of course, his executive order doing very much the same thing so that we could start figuring out who was coming in and who was going out and get a logical process was actually mimicked after President Clinton's same executive order, and Clinton made that presentation to the Democratic Congress. So you go as far back as the Carter administration after Iran, in which members of Congress of the Democratic side were saying the same thing, and so this president does it. Now, was it implemented? I think their own administration has said it wasn't implemented exceptionally well. My concern is actually more of the rhetoric we see. There was another reporter that was in here yesterday, Dick. She was asking questions about, everybody said this building was seized up with these issues, and I frankly haven't seen that seizing up. What I have seen, though, is that for whatever reason, instead of trying to work through issues with the present administration, we have members and statewide members, not of the legislature, but of a congressional delegation, and of the governor, who are frankly endangering Oregonians by their actions and endangering our opportunities in the future for economic development. And I'm not talking about retribution from the Trump administration. I'm really talking about the system of, if we create this image, right, that we are somehow not going to cooperate with the federal government, not only on Trump's particular this executive order, but other areas, we're going to find ourselves left out. I mean, there was an interesting uproar about the same thing on the transportation plan, in which the media helped and the governor jumped on board, apparently, and some of the congressional delegation jumped on the proposed Trump transportation plan. In that issue, there was a draft out on the 13th of December in which we were left off of it, and that's because the governor did not submit any projects until the 28th. The other portion that you've mentioned in this executive order that the governor has issued is we already have an existing law now in which law enforcement as a primary response does not cooperate with immigration or with ICE. So maybe she wants to reinforce that, but the rumor floating around that she's directing the Attorney General to enter into a lawsuit, which multiple Democratic presidents have done exactly the same thing, and on the band of Democratic congressmen, representatives, and senators previously presidents have done. It's got problems to work through it, but for Oregon to try and be on the forefront, leading opposition to something that may not be opposable to start with, is going to be detrimental to the state.